Welcome to Jobbed Out, the wrestling editorial that reminds you very simply, bros before hoes! So many years ago, while working with Freakin' Nitro TV, my old channel partner and I had the honor of interviewing WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan. It was one of my very first interviews, you can tell because I was green as all hell. But Duggan is one hell of a great guy. He's very positive, encouraging, a true class act. Sadly, that channel is no more and the interview was lost for years. Until now. Now you're going to notice it's quite a bit different from, say, my Terry Runnels interview, as I'm not the only one asking questions. The other host is also currently on YouTube, now running Nitro Maniac TV. Give him a search. For now, though, I present to you my interview with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Hope you enjoy. I'm Jimmy the Freak, with me is Kellen Nitro, and the man of the evening, Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Well, come on, guys, give me a hole, fellas, come on. Oh! There you go, all right.
You're up here for the Calgary Comic and Entertainment Expo.
Right, yeah.
Hope you had a good time, assuming you could get in.
Yeah, I heard they had some trouble with it, but it's a good problem to have too many people, you know, instead of not having enough folks.
Yeah.
But actually, this is one of my first Comic-Con conventions, so it worked out good. I had a cancellation. Ted DiBiase talked to the promoter, and we were just able to put it together the past 10 days or so. And that's why it wasn't advertised, you know, but it worked out well. It was a great opportunity to meet some of the fans and had a good time.
Absolutely, and the thing is, Calgary is such a pro wrestling history site that it's just great to have you here.
Yeah. Sure, everybody's knows Calgary and professional wrestling, you know. Of course, Stu Hart and Brett, my good buddy, Owen, God bless him. I knew Owen, but I knew Brett a little better than Owen because he's more my age group. But had a lot of fun with Owen. Matter of fact, at Owen's funeral, I think Brett told a story where I was at a hotel one time and I called down to the front desk and I said, you tell me where the gym is. And the guy at the front desk goes, well, you got a phone book in your room? And I'm like, yeah. He says, well, why don't you look it up? I'm like, hey, you know, I spend a lot of money at this hotel. I just like a little common courtesy. We're tired of you professional wrestlers. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? He says, well, you've got a problem. You come down and talk to me. So I'm like, well, okay, yeah, son of a gun. So I hang the phone up and I'm getting dressed. The phone rings back. It's the guy from the front desk. He goes, sir, I'm sorry. He says, that wasn't me. That was one of the other wrestlers. I said, who the hell was it? He looks at Owen. He goes, what's your name? Owen goes, Jim Powers. He goes, hey, it's Jim Powers. You know the story?
I know the story. Yeah, I heard the story from Brett. Jim Powers has not returned for comment.
Yeah, but that was a good story. We enjoyed it, man. Yeah, get along good. I spent many nights at Brett's house. Brett stayed at my house. But Owen was known for his ribs.
Did you wrestle up here at all? Did you do any?
I never actually wrestled for Stampede. All my stuff, odd enough, was mostly in the South.
Yeah.
I broke in with Fritz von Erich in Texas Championship Wrestling. Then I worked for the WWF for Vince McMahon Sr. Then I went to Hawaii and worked with Peter Maivia. Then I went to Georgia Championship Wrestling. From there to Pensacola with the Fullers. And from there to San Antonio with Joe Blanchard. And then to Mid-South, and that's where I got my break in Mid-South.
I think that was also the first time you turned face.
Yeah, that was pretty much the first time I turned face, and then I came up to the WWE. Yeah, but I started off as Big Jim Duggan, you know, short hair and clean shaven, and I had a long gold bathrobe. And Arnie Skolin calls me in the office. He said, kid, you might have a future, but come up with something better than Big Jim and get rid of that gold bathrobe. And then I wrestled as a convict for a while, and I put little C's on my mask over in Hawaii because I was wrestling grown men and I was a relatively young guy. And I put little C's on my mask, which I thought was pretty clever, you know, for the convict. Of course, all the fans are like, why'd you put those ears on your mask? I said, they're not ears, they're C's, C's for the convict. Then I came back to WWF. I still didn't know what I was doing. They sent me to Georgia, and that's where I met one of my best friends in my life, Terry Gordy, very good friends, Georgia Championship Wrestling. And then when NWA took over Georgia, I didn't get along with Ole Anderson, so I went with the Fullers to Pensacola, which was a great territory. I had a $500 a week guarantee. I was living on the beach with a hot little stripper. It was a great time in my young life. But then Buck Robley and Bruiser Brody, who I met in Georgia, were in San Antonio, and that territory was hot. And they needed somebody to work with Brody, so they brought me over there, and that's actually where I became Hacksaw.
In your mind, the Hearts, what kind of impact do these guys have in the wrestling world, and specifically in this area?
Well, in this area, of course, it's almost like a religion, you know, with Stu and Brett and Owen and the whole Hart family. But you also have to take the concept of all of professional wrestling. You know, I always give the NFL and the NHL the business. I'm like, world champions? You guys have been in Japan, Australia, Europe. I mean, the scope of professional wrestling, and one of the main areas in professional wrestling all over the world is Calgary. So you gotta love or hate professional wrestling. You gotta appreciate Calgary's role in Stampede Wrestling in the history of professional wrestling.
And as a follow-up for you guys, what's the feeling coming in every time you do an event like this, coming into Calgary, once you see on that big tour date, Calgary is up on
I think I know the answer. It's, oh, please God, don't let them put my table next to Virgil's.
Well, you got to give, you know, a lot of guys bust Virgil chops, but, you know, I got to give the guy credit. He's out there hustling. He never got a big break in the business, and a lot into this business is being in the right place at the right time and getting the right break. But Virgil's trying to make the best of it.
I just want to go shake his hand and say that, you know, tell him about one of my favorite memories. I'm giving him $80 today.
You know,
He does his job
he knows
good.
the business, right?
He does his job good.
Right. Gee, I don't think I even sold you an 8x10. What's going on, man?
8x10. Who cares about the 8x10s? What about the 2x4s?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Actually, that's quite a big seller. I do at shows, like little 8-inch 2x4s, you know. But of course, it's like I said, it was a last-minute deal, and it was just good to be part of it.
Easiest merch to produce ever. Go to Home Depot, chop them up,
2x4,
sign them.
And the foam 2x4s were hot back in the day. And when I went back to the WWE recently, and I was like, you know, because it takes up, that's the reason they quit doing it, because it takes up too much room on the merchandise truck, a box of 2x4s, you know. I was like, yeah, we can do the inflatable ones.
You can have them like those stadium slappers that they have at different events.
Right,
Oh, just
yeah,
boomsticks.
boomsticks,
Yeah.
Right. No, but
If you ever teamed with Alex Wright, that's probably what they would have done.
well, I tell you, there's an example of a young guy I thought had a bright future. Is the Wonder Kid, Alex Wright. He had that funny look. He did that funny dance. Everybody in the arena did that funny dance. They loved it.
Yep.
He did the Berlin deal. I think it was a rib on the kid. You know, he was a good-looking young guy. They shave his head, give him the mohawk. The old joke is like Sullivan did it to him because Nancy, who ended up with Benoit, liked the kid. And so to keep Nancy away from him, they did the Berlin deal.
I had heard
but I
that.
thought of Alex Wright, I think, as his gimmick, and like Jerry the Wall. Jerry, nice young guy, passed away, obviously, but I mean, the kid stuttered a little bit. You know, and if I try to tell the young guys, brother, when you do an interview, you get out there and you say, when I get to the ring, I'm going to kick your ass. People would pop on it. For years, I did the cockeyed Duggan deal.
Yeah.
You know, I'd go out there, people say, cockeyed Duggan, stop it, stop it. I did many years of that, you know, but I was comfortable with that. I have crossed eyes, that's cool. But the kid was so self-conscious of stuttering that he was never able to capitalize on it. I try to tell him, embrace it.
The patriotic eternal angle that you've got, the eternal gimmick. How did that begin? Who decided? I was like, you should just go out there and say USA.
Well, it was back in the Rat Pack days in Mid-South. It was me, DiBiase, and Matt Bourne, and they joined up a Skandar Akbar, and I said no, I couldn't go with Skandar, so I've been carrying the flag ever since, and I think people see that it's genuine with me. I mean, I don't think anybody's ever carried the flag. I mean, even my good friend Hulk Hogan, I don't think he carries a flag like I do. Lex Luger, Lex Express, that went down the toilet. Who's the guy down there? Kurt Angle, yeah, you know, the Olympic and all that still. The people know when I come out there and I look at the camera, I look them in the eye and I say USA. I love my country like you guys love yours. And I think the people see that.
I'm afraid we're jumping all over the place. We're really good at being chronological with everybody else, and they're like, I bring up the invasion thing or the WCW thing. the sabotage streak that they kind of had you going on, where people were wondering if you were going to become American again. I just started this in my head. I remembered the national anthem. We might try getting you to do that one.
Of course, I played ball in Canada, though. That was with the Argonauts back in the day,
Yeah.
So,
You were a multi-athlete coming out of high school.
Yep. Actually, my shot put record from 1973 still stands in my high school today. I said, what a bunch of pussies up there. My senior year in high school, I won the New York State Amateur Wrestling Championship, and my main sport was football. So I was highly recruited throughout the U.S.
I'm just, as somebody who, obviously I do not excel in any sports, my experience even in indie wrestling, I stuck to ring announcing and stick bumps, and then I got out when I realized I was too stupid.
Well, everybody's got their niche, brother, and I never thought I would be a professional wrestler. I wasn't a wrestling fan growing up. I had no interest in professional wrestling. And just a chance meeting with Fritz von Erich at SMU and opened the door for me.
Well, you were in the right territory. Yeah. Sorry, you were in the right territory at the right time as well. Because at that point, when the territories existed, there was different things would work in different areas. Like up in Alberta, it was about chain wrestling, and down in the Texas area, it was legit big badass brawling. So you were in the right area.
Well, I think that was kind of the day anyway. I mean, nowadays the kids tend to be smaller and fly more. Back in the day, guys were brawlers. Of course, now it's mostly a TV show, so TV perception is totally different. Rey Mysterio looks pretty big on TV. But when you're wrestling in Laranja, Louisiana, or Texarkana, Texas, when you walk to the ring, you better walk to the ring because you'd have the people come in the ring with you. So it was a different, rougher business.
What was Fritz like?
Fritz, well, he was a promoter. I mean, old-fashioned promoter, and then that's where, like Vince McMahon, a lot of people try to talk bad about Vince McMahon. I don't look at Vince McMahon no more than a boss. He's not a friend of mine. He's my boss. I did a show in Orlando with a young guy that got fired. He goes, that Vince McMahon, he treats us like pieces of meat. And I'm like, well, son, what the hell you think you are, kid? You want a friend, go buy a puppy. Yep. Vince is your boss, baby, and you perform for him, you produce for him, and when the time's right, he'll flush you down the toilet. Welcome to the real world.
It's like stocks. You don't hold on to them forever.
It's like any business, man. Yeah, you perform as long as you can at your job. If somebody's doing a better job, then you're gone.
UWF. You were working with Bill Watts and that entire crew down there. Tell us a little bit of how you felt going in there and your experiences during.
Well, I came from Joe Blanchard's territory. That's where I became Hacksaw in Joe Blanchard's territory, Southwest Championship Wrestling, and then went to Mid-South with Buck Robley was the booker that brought me in. And they teamed me up with DiBiase, and of course I was a heel, and I've been a heel pretty much, as most young guys when you first break in are heels. And of course he went to Skandar Akbar, and I made the switch to babyface, started carrying the American flag. I had the 2x4 back from San Antonio, where Brody told me, he says, Duggan, if you carry something in the ring, carry something you can use, forget the feathered boas and sequin robes. Because back in the day, it was a rough atmosphere. The crowds, you try to walk to the ring, and people would punch you, they'd spit on you, they'd throw the cigarettes. So I come out blowing snot, spitting sweat, waving that 2x4, like part in the Red Sea, man. I could go back and forth in the ring with no trouble.
Imagine this, though. If you had used a feather boa and were choking people out with it, half of the wrestling industry today might look like the Christopher Street connection.
Hell, or I could be governor of Minnesota. As Jesse did, right?
Yeah.
But then when JYD left and came up to New York, that's when I got my big break, and I was the top babyface down in that territory. And that was a very strong territory. We do Superdome shows with 40,000, 50,000 people at the Dome, and it was a hot, of course, it's like a who's who of professional wrestling who came through that territory. Bundy, Jake, DiBiase, I mean, everybody came through there. And it was a good place to learn your trade because you wrestled 9 times a week, so you wrestled every day, maybe twice a day. And you did an interview, you didn't do one generic interview, you did an interview for every city you went. So not only did you learn how to work in the ring, but you learned how to cut an interview, which a lot of kids is a lost art.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we are stuttering and going and and everybody we've spoken to has been just fluent.
Well, this is, I mean, you got a Hall of Fame group here. I mean, you know, DiBiase, Jake should definitely be in there. Honky should be in there, of course. And, you know, we're the guys that survived, and we've been feeding our families doing this 33 years, you know.
1987, WrestleMania 3. You were a major part of it at the Pontiac Silverdome. Your run-in against Nikolai and the Sheik.
Sure, yeah.
Against the Killer Bees.
Well, of course, I had just recently came up to the WWEF, you know, and, you know, be part of the WrestleMania 3, because, you know, Bill Watts, after 1, he's like, well, nobody will follow 1, and Dog had left for 1. Jake left for 2. I came up for 3. Teddy came up for 4. You know, so we're you know, abandoning ship, making the move. And, of course, 3 was great, you know, 93,000 people. Of course, the old joke is I come back from the ring and everybody's like, how's the crowd? How's the crowd? I said, well, without my glasses, the first 3 rows are full. I don't know how many folks are out there, but they're loud, man. Yeah, so. But then, of course, Teddy was worried about coming up because Junkyard Dog came up, Jake the Snake Roberts came up, Hacksaw Jim Duggan came up. He was Ted DiBiase. He said, I can't come up there. I don't have a character. He ended up coming up, $1 Million Man. He had the best character of all of us.
Exactly.
Man. Yeah, he's flying first class.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see you join the $1 Million Corporation, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've wrestled probably Teddy more than I've wrestled anybody in my career. I've wrestled him all over the world hundreds of times. And I always said Ted DiBiase may be one of the greatest technical wrestlers in the world today. But he can't fight a lick.
1988 was a huge year for you, career-wise. You won the very first Royal Rumble.
Yep, the first Royal Rumble. That's kind of my claim to fame, because I was never world champion. I was never tag team champion. I was never intercontinental champion. But folks remember that the deal. Yeah.
Then he showed up at WCW and won a belt on his first match.
I beat the Stunning Steve Austin so bad he had to shave his head and change his name. He'd still be Stunning Steve if it wasn't for me. I should get a kickback.
Did you take us through the process of first finding out that you were going to win the Royal Rumble and then working the very first Royal Rumble?
Well, I think, you know, back then it was just another show and we were rolling and going. You know, I was probably in a string of probably, you know, 40, 50-day run. Royal Rumble was another show, and boom, we were off doing the next day. Who would have ever thought that the Royal Rumble would become the pay-per-view that it is?
Yeah.
Pat Patterson.
Pat Patterson, yeah. Pat, you got to give, you know, love or hate Pat. He's a visionary in our business.
He's another one of those ones that the Canadians really, really respect and adore with the Quebec roots.
Yeah.
I'm going back into a dark subject, the Russo era.
Go ahead, well, you ain't asked me anything, fellas.
Well, in 1998, you were diagnosed with kidney cancer.
Sure.
You were out for 2 years. You were obviously glad you made it. You survived.
Thank you. Yeah.
When you came back, this is a problem, and especially now in 2012, you just see it's like they do this every week, all the time. They took too much of a personal life, at least in our opinion, and made angles out of it. It seemed that every week when you were on TV, somebody's trying to punch you in the kidney, and they did the whole
Right, well, and then they did the Ric Flair heart attack deal, you know, but that's Vince Russo and WCW. I mean, actually, Terry Taylor, a good friend of mine, when I was diagnosed, it was obviously a terrifying ordeal in my life. I had 2 young girls. It was I've been healthy all my life. The doctor comes in and says, Jim, it's cancer. It was terrifying. But with the grace of God and early detection, they saved my life. And not only that, but I was able to come back to wrestling. But before my surgery, I didn't know I was living or dying. Terry Taylor actually is the one that talked me to come in on the TV and sharing it with the people what was happening to me. And I'm like, well, I went into a cocoon. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I didn't want to see nobody. But he convinced me to share it with the people. And this was before the internet and stuff. And it was a great idea. I got so much support and so much heartwarming feeling from folks. But then, you know, not long after, Flair did the fake heart attack in the ring and all that. So yeah, but you know, that's Russo, and you know, obviously me and Vince Russo aren't buddies.
I've noticed a lot of that lately going around. Forgive me for saying this, and if you're going to punch me, I'll just give me 10 seconds.
No.
It was before that event, before you actually told people. I wouldn't say I wasn't a fan. I watched your matches and I kind of just moved on. I found that the patriarch thing was one dimensional. It's the cheap pop concept and that, but that.
But let
was
me interject real quick. It was a cheap pop concept. Everybody be doing it, brother. People say, all you do will go out and yell and wave a flag. I said, if that was it, everybody be go out there yelling and waving a flag. A little more than that. Yeah. But I understand a lot of folks didn't appreciate it. That's fine. Not everybody likes a Warrior or Hogan or whatever.
But like when you did that, it was one of those things, and if the internet had been more prominent, it was around, but if it was more prominent, it would be similar to what we have now, where it was a reminder to fans that you guys are people, you guys are human, you guys are mortal, and that was actually probably that was the event where not only was I watching things forward, I started grabbing tapes and watching earlier stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm surprised the stuff that we can pull out of the Southern Territories like Georgia.
Yeah, well, for many years, I chopped a lot of meat. Before I became the cross-eyed gimmick character, I chopped a lot of meat over the years, and that was the way the business was. And I just try to evolve with the business and keep myself current. Like I said, it's a competitive business, and now I've been working with DiBiase's kid, Orton's kid, Dusty's kid. I wrestled with 3 generations of Hennings. Jake doesn't work no more, Teddy doesn't work no more. I was just on SmackDown the other night.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. We were really we were marks in that late end of WCW, and
mark's a horrible term, also, brother. That's a term they used in the old days where we would work the people out of the money. I want to get some money out of you, brother. No, I give you a performance. You pay me for my performance. No more different than the people on Broadway seeing a Broadway play are marks.
See, we look at it like the N word, right? They can't use that word on us. It's derogatory. We use it. It's brotherly.
Yeah, well, but I think it's just a bad term, man. I never saw that as marks. That was never my deal. I give them my product. They pay me to see it. I'm not trying to scam anybody out of anything.
Well, we were definitely Team Canada fans in that time.
Sure.
Whose idea was it to turn you there?
Well, that was Vince Russo's idea. Actually, the WCW was going under. It was obvious, business-wise, it was going under. I was on an extended contract. They were trying to push me out of my contract. First of all, they did the janitor deal. Remember the janitor of the WCW? Yeah. And they're like, well, you're going to have to clean Vince Russo's toilet with a toothbrush. I'm like, well, that's cool. And they're like, well, you got to clean it. So that's fine. Mm-hmm. So we did the vignette. I poured a Diet Coke in the toilet. And instead of giving this deal, I'm cleaning the toilet. I'm cleaning the toilet. I'm cleaning it. Well, I'm cleaning your toilet, Russo. Make it work. Put me on camera. I'll get my stuff over. And people embraced it again. And of course, so that didn't work. So they fly me back up to Atlanta, another big meeting, and they're like, "Okay, Duggan, we're gonna turn you against America." Iraq, Iran, where are we going? They're like, you're going to be part of Team Canada. I'm like, well, there's a lot of heat there. If any country I spend more time in than any place is Canada besides the U.S. And of course, and they put me with Lance Storm, and Lance is a great technical wrestler, but he's as vanilla as this wall, and Lance standing there with a microphone going, "May I please have everyone's attention?" And I'm behind the being Hacksaw. Shut your mouth! You guys shut your mouth! I made the deal, So back to Atlanta we go, and they're like, "Hacksaw, you want to tune your shit down a little bit? We're trying to push the kid." I'm like, "Tune my stuff down? Tell a young boy to tune his stuff up, kid. This is a professional league." That's what a lot of people don't understand. There's 1,500 NFL football players.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
There's 500-700 NHL hockey players.
Oh, yeah.
There's 120 wrestlers working for the WWE. It's one of the most competitive businesses in the world. It has nothing to do if it's fake or real or whatever. Mm-hmm. If there's 120 spots or 700 spots, where you got the odds of making the job? Exactly. It's an extremely competitive business. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you don't carry the load, then you're gone and some young kid's got your job. And then for a young kid coming in, well, you got to take my job, young boy. I ain't going to give it up.
Yeah. And that's healthy competition. that concept right there. The idea that you have to earn the spot to take the spot. And that gave us fans, at least in the mid-90s, at least in that point when just before it started to fall, it gave us something to look forward to.
Yeah, well, and it still is. It's probably more competitive now because everything is scripted. I mean, back in Honky Tonk and Jake and Teddy, myself, Hacksaw Duggan is Hacksaw Duggan. Jake, as you just saw, is Jake. I mean, our characters are our personalities.
Absolutely.
Where now you have writers writing the scripts. And totally different show. But hard to argue with success with 80,000 people at WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you tend to be brought in to do these tag matches with, I don't want to say comedic characters, it was really Eugene and Santino, but it seems, well, you are the defender of the one that is getting bullied, and it's...
Well, yeah, but also there's a little comic relief in there too, man, and that's a big part of wrestling. I mean, people don't like the 10 punches in the corner. That's not realistic. Well, it's sports entertainment, fellas. You want realistic, go watch MMA, bro.
See, so I like Sid Lodi's thing. 3 on the top, 3 in the middle, 3 on the bottom. It's just missing 1 on the canvas.
Yeah, you punch a guy 10 times in the corner. Of course, you can't do that anymore, WWE. Everybody in that arena is going to go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
But,
I'm trying to remember who was the exception. Super Crazy.
Yeah.
When they would do it all in Spanish.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'll tell you a story about Crazy because they tagged me and Crazy up together for a while. Back in the WWE when they brought me back.
Right.
And I got to like Crazy pretty good. We traveled together. But anyway, so he obviously doesn't speak much English, right? So one time we're on a charter flight, and he's sitting across from me. We're both tired. We're kind of asleep. And the lady went by, and he got a sandwich and kept walking by Crazy. He goes, "Hey, lady, how about my sandwich?" I went, "Crazy!" I mean, no, English.
Well, we'll try not to occupy too much more of your time. We've hassled hotel rooms all night. It's about 4:30 in the morning, about right now. One question I definitely want to ask, and this is kind of one of the, it's kind of like the opposite, or not the opposite of, but it's along those lines of, so what message do you have for the kids? In the generations you've been around, you've been around again with all the Hennings, with the second gen and third gens, you've been around for multiple eras. Obviously, you've taught people, you've trained people. There's got to be a couple people that have considered you a mentor. I mean, who are you really proud to have seen?
Well, you know what? I don't know, like Brody never was really a mentor for me, though I learned an awful lot from him. He never took me over and said, "Hey, do this, do that." I get a lot of kids ask me, what's it take to make it? And there's no set formula. It's not like, you're playing football, you bench 500 pounds, you run a 4.5 40. You got good lateral jump, you move good sides. There's no set formula what it takes to make it in professional wrestling. It's being at the right place, at the right time, with the right gimmick, and getting the break. But once you get the break, you got to carry the ball, like Kenny from the Spirit Squad.
Ken Doan.
What's his name? From the Spirit Squad, the big tall guy. Remember, they pushed him real hard with Ric Flair for a while.
Yeah, well, he wrestled under Kenny Dykstra.
Kenny Dykstra.
Kenny Dykstra, yeah.
Right. That was Ken Doan, wasn't it?
I don't know his name, but anyway, I know Kenny Dykstra.
Yeah.
But if they give you the break, you got to carry the ball.
Yeah.
So I think I like, of all the young guys, I like Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
I think Dolph
Another
would be
Spirit Squad guy.
Another Spirit Squad guy.
Yeah.
I like Santino, of course, obviously, because the characters are relatively close.
Yeah.
Kids like him, and hell, even we have
That's a big part of your audience. I mean, a lot of you purists, like you say, don't appreciate my character. They want, but that's a lot of fun.
My tune changed, I swear.
Well, that's all right, but it's okay because you go out there and you watch these guys do all these head flips and drop kicks and all this shit, and the crowd's just like this.
Yeah.
I go out there, I give a ho. I got 90% of the people going, ho, USA, brother. Yeah. So it's sports entertainment, and keep that in mind. And of course, that's the old joke. You're always a phony wrestler until you go to court. When you go to court, you become a trained killer.
I do. That makes me wonder if I should bring up. I can't remember if it was at the end of UWF. There was an incident with you and a fan that kind of got some incident. I'm trying to remember what it was. As a fan, from what he'd read, picked a fight, and you were taken to court for busting his orbital bone.
Orbital lobe, yeah. Actually, the guy came, was in Monroe, Louisiana. I wrestled Junkyard Dog. I'm coming out of the arena. or out of the ring, and the guy was 3 seats in his row. He came past 2 other people and punched me in the aisleway, but I punched him back twice. Grover Stills, I think was the guy. I remember forever. Because he's still saying, "Honey, get me a beer Duggan bought us," you know. But he hit me in the face. I mean, he punched me in it, you know, it hurt. Yeah. And I punched him, boom! And I just kept going. But I did damage. So I shouldn't try to do a plumber's job. Plumber shouldn't try to do my job. Right, you know. And that's why it's hard to go out now without security. Because if you go to a bar, you meet 99 people, everybody's cool, but you got that one guy who says, I can beat you arm wrestling. You know, you look bigger on TV.
That's how you
and
get
the last thing you want is trouble at this stage.
Absolutely.
It's hard not to go out without security.
And you never know how crazy the crazies are. That's how you get, the Jake the Snake story about the guy in the 7th row that fired the gun during his match with Sting. Or Ted DiBiase. Was that with you? Who did he wrestle? Where some woman actually, Ted told a story the other day about he had a match with you, and he was going into the back, and you were like 5 feet behind him, and a woman came by.
Little Rock pulled a gun.
Wow.
Yeah, pulled a gun, and the only thing that saved me that the hammer, she had a little revolver, the hammer got caught on her purse string. So I was looking at her, I'm like, holy shit, she's got a gun.
Yeah.
And she's like this, and by the time she pulled it out, I was able to catch her arm.
Yeah.
And we're going like this with the gun. And, she goes, because I beat up Junkyard Dog. She goes, I got something for you, white boy. And I'm like, what the hell? Thought she was going to give me a bonus.
I want to congratulate you, first of all, for surviving all these incidents, and second of all, for being so damn convincing that somebody would pull a gun on you.
Yeah, well,
Backstage.
Well,
that means you're doing it right.
Yeah, well, back in the day, if you think it's fake, brother, you sign the waiver. Exactly. You come up on the ring, we'll show if it's fake or not. And back then we all had to be our own security. If it was a hot finish, we'd all stay to the end. We all walk out to our cars together. Yeah. East Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi. Yeah. It was tough back in the 80s, man. Yeah. Bill Watts, if you lose a bar fight, you get fired.
I was just going to ask quickly, this year you got probably the biggest honor of your wrestling career, getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. How did that feel?
Oh, that was great, especially, of course, have Teddy induct me, because a lot of guys say, well, I don't care if I'm in the Hall of Fame. It's, first of all, to be around the company nowadays, you go there's 25 18-wheelers, there's 20 buses, 50 limos, I mean, TV trucks out the butt. It's a huge production, and just to be part of it from, we had, 15,000 people at our Hall of Fame. The NFL, they get 7,000 on the lawn. We had 15 paid to come see it. So it's a thrill. And, of course, it was great. My daughters are 16 and 17, Celia and Rebecca. They were able to come check it out, and, it was something special. And also it cuts down on everybody going, when are they going to put you in the Hall of Fame? Are they going to put you in the Hall of Fame? Geez, I have no control over it.
Now it's down to Jake.
And Honky too, man. Yeah. But you never know. I mean, it's again like the wrestling formula. What does it take to be in the Hall of Fame?
Sometimes it's a matter of timing.
We've scratched our heads over why they put certain guys in and that stuff, and you look at the class you were in this year, Tammy, Sonny, Shawn Michaels, obviously, right? Yeah, Shawn. The Road Warriors.
Yeah, Road Warriors were strong.
With Paul Ellering.
Yeah.
But Abby, right? Yeah. I mean, Abby was never WWE. Bullet Bob Armstrong.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it makes no sense. But
and then you got Mike Tyson involved. That's
Drew Carey was our guy, right? So just glad to be part of it. You get the ring. It's a great ceremony, and also it increases your value on shows like this or on your independent show, right? Your Hall of Fame. Well, before we go, guys, I got to tell you the Hacksaw Jim Duggan book just came out.
Yes. Please plug it. Yes.
Yeah, it's Hacksaw, the Jim Duggan story. Catchy title, huh?
I love it. I like it.
Actually, they Triumph Books that did Funk's book, and they did Don Mattingly's book, The Baseball Player.
Oh, cool. Right on.
Yeah, they're like, well, I sent them 4 or 5 ideas. Tough life, tough guy. The circle, the ring. I thought all these great exotic titles are like, yeah, good idea, buddy. We'll go with Hacksaw, the Jim Duggan story. And so it's But actually, it's a positive look at professional wrestling. I mean, there's a lot of tragedies. A lot of people watch the movie The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, who was a piece of garbage himself. But there's a lot of guys that are successful in this business. You know, I've been with my wife 28 years. My one daughter goes to college. My other's in high school. I own my home. I pay my bills. I live a normal life. You know, Piper does. Tito Santana does. A lot of guys. We're not all drug addicts and degenerates and don't pay our bills. There's a lot of guys that have been a successful business, and that's one thing I try to come across in my book. You know, it's been a good business. It's been a tough business. You know, all my family videos, I'm pulling my bag going out on Christmas. Bye everybody. You know, my daughter's 18th birthday just recently. I missed it doing the show, but that's part of wrestling, and my family has embraced it.
Absolutely.
So check out the book, brother.
We will.
Check out nothing. We're going to promote it, and then we're going to take credit for the sales.
Well, actually, I brought because I just came out the 1st of April. Actually, right after WrestleMania in Miami, I did my first book signing right down there in Miami because it came out the next that Monday.
Yeah.
But so I just brought 20 of them up here. Put them in my carry-on bag and brought them to see how they go.
See, if any of those were available, I felt bad because I didn't go after any of the 8x10s because you didn't have a Team Canada one.
Yeah, you asked me about the Team
If
Canada.
the book was there.
Which starts with clean. Actually, the Team Canada picture is in the book. Yep, they have the progression. I think they got Wildman Duggan and they got Hacksaw. They got me as a janitor and as Team Canada.
Yeah, I'd love to see the still shot on that one.
That's it, brother. Want to be a wrestler? Be a wrestler.
Exactly.
So yeah, once again, thank you.
Well, my pleasure, fellas. Nice talking to you guys.
Absolute honor.
Nice visit,
Fantastic.
man. And hope your show does well. And nice to be on it.
And there you have it. A gigantic thank you to Mr. Duggan, who absolutely didn't have to do an interview with us, but basically was in a good mood at a hotel bar and said, sure, let's do this, as a thank you for my shoot earlier that night with Jake Roberts. Now that video will also be going up live soon. So I'm going to pose a question for you. If I were to do a follow-up interview with Hacksaw, what questions would you have for him? What would you like asked? Let me know in the comments. For now though, I better get my shoulders off the mat, so thank you for tuning in to Jobbed Out. I'll catch you next time.